This conference will now be recorded.
To introduce myself, guys, myself Ravinder. I'm working as a SQL DBA last close to 15 years now. I'm working as a Azure SQL DBA close to 7 years, more than 7 years now. And I do work on MongoDB and I do work on Postgres as well, along with the Azure AWS. So this is about me, a little introduction. So let's get into the agenda of today's discussion. So we're going to discuss what are the challenges people are facing to maintain the on-prem data centers, why the people are showing interest to move to the cloud side, what are the benefits they're getting in fact. Okay. So oh, you guys can hear me, right? Someone saying that is not able to hear. Uh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Please rejoin. Yeah, fine. Sorry for that. So the advantages the people are having by moving to cloud, we're going to discuss. That is the main agenda of discussion today. And what was there before cloud, that also will have a little discussion. Like cloud has evolved in 2006, but what was there before it and what kind of services they used to provide, that also we're going to little of discussion about that. And virtualization, how virtualization changed the computing implementation, right? So everything is virtualized now, so why it is virtualized, little bit of discussion about that. Then we'll enter to the cloud side. What is cloud computing and what are the cloud deployment model, categories of cloud services, benefits of cloud. This is where we're going to spend most of the time, right? And why we need to learn Azure. Out of all, we have Google, we have AWS, we have other small vendors are still there in the market. So why we need to go for the Azure? What are the reasons? Then what are the certifications you can take after this course? That's what the end of the session anyway. Let's talk about on-prem data centers. So to maintain on-prem data centers for any company as a proprietary data centers, first they need to identify a space, dedicated space for keeping the infrastructure. Generally, you don't sit at the right after the server and then work on it. Servers deployed somewhere, you remotely connect and you start working, right? So this space generally, completely analyzed that it won't affect by the natural calamities like floods, earthquake, and it should not be, it should not get owned by the natural calamities. They have to see that area like it's absolutely safe to keep their data center there, kind of. They will do the analyzation, all that anyway. Then you deploy the server somewhere, you work from somewhere, so you need to have from the operation center to data centers good internet connectivity. You should have at least two subscriber. You have to subscribe to internet providers. At least one link is down for any unforeseen issues, other ones should be up and running to take the load. So this is must be properly planned, else they'll go down, right? Software licenses, we have to use many softwares to run the business. We have to have the front end softwares, middleware, back end softwares. Some are licensed, some are non-licensed, and they have to look at the software upgrades, patchings and security implementations, all that they have to do at this layer. Extremely redundant power source. If in case maybe the floods came in that area and the power cuts happen and your data center is safe, so, from the floods, but you don't have a power supply because of the natural calamities or strikes in that area, the reason could be anything. If you go out of power, you need to have a diesel generators, you need to have enough of UPSs ready to give the power supply all the time. So you cannot go to the client and say that I don't have a power supply to my data center and that's why I'm down, kind of. You cannot say that. No one accept that. Customer needs just the data all the time available. So that is one thing they have to plan it properly. And dust-free environment within the data centers, servers do run by 24 by 7. And when the server's CPU fan is running for 24 by 7, it accumulates the dust, and when you reboot, it won't reboot. So it has to be maintained absolutely dust free inside the data center. And efficient cooling, when the servers are running 24 by 7 365 days, they do generate a lot of heat. In fact, you have to keep certain temperature within the data center, so you have to maintain the AC with certain temperature to not to break the circuits. If it is gets beyond certain temperature, it will get bust. So that should not happen. High physical security. So only authorized people should enter into the data center. Not a company person also cannot enter. In fact, without an authorization, they have to show that the reason why they wanted to go inside the data center, so that it's absolutely protected by the physical guards with guns kind of at the data centers. That is usual. In fact, inter-data center networks. So you cannot rely on one data center. Maybe for any reason one data center is down, you will go down. So you need to maintain standby data center. You have to entirely replicate the data from one data center to other data center to keep the data safe. That link again, you need to subscribe to very big bandwidth link, because entire data is getting pushed to the your standby data center. So that is another, all these challenges again you have to face it there as well. This solution together very expensive for any individual to maintain. In fact, when the cloud is something, you don't need to maintain anything of this what we are talking here. It is fully managed by the cloud provider, so you don't have that headache anyway. So there are many benefits we're going to talk about in today itself. We'll see it. These are all considerable challenges people need to face to maintain their on-prem data centers, in fact, right? So let's move to the next. So before cloud, what was there? Actual cloud, AWS started in 2006, but it is fully marketized in 2008. In fact, 2008 onwards, the AWS was implemented in the market. And before that, what was there? There used to be managed services. Managed services are very limited to the geographic area. They don't have the infrastructure around the globe. They have very limited infrastructure. They are region specific vendors. Okay, so you go to them, you wanted certain servers to run your business, you order 10 servers, 20 servers. They'll hook up to the network, they'll install the operating system, they keep the firewalls around, they add the domain what you wanted, they will give you all the security, they will keep your database backups, they'll secure everything. You don't have to work at all on anything. You have to just order the servers, and you need to ask them what softwares you wanted to run your business. They maintain it for you end to end. These people are not like cloud, but they are more advanced than the cloud. They do everything for you. But the problem is, these are very small vendors. They don't exist around the globe. They do exist at particular regions, in fact, to give this kind of services. Now these people actually lost the market because of everybody are globalizing their business. So when they are one region specific, they cannot subscribe and other regions, right? So that's where these people are losing their existence. But yes, these people are better than the cloud what we have now. In fact, they used to provide more services than the what cloud used to give. But these people existence is going slowly away because people are globalizing their businesses every day, and they need their infrastructure everywhere, and these people cannot give that, right? This was the managed services before cloud evolved. Okay. Virtualization. Why we need to talk about the virtualization? See, when people are saving the money, where they are saving the money, they are moving very fast. In fact, they're thinking about saving the money out of the businesses. So when they virtualize the infrastructure, before virtualization, what used to happen? You keep a standalone server for one application, and that application may go up to peak level at like sales time or uh, certain events. It's not all the time, but server has to take up that load during the peak hours. But the rest of the hours, the server computing power is really wasted. So to not to do that, we are getting a big server. On top of it, we are building tiny small machines, and we are operating. So at least one server is not using, other server using for certain maintenances, certain business purposes. So underlying infrastructure is absolutely are using all the time by using the virtualization. And also it is saving a lot of space in data center, because you get a big high configured server and build a lot of VMs on top of it as required. And this is actually again saving your business cost. You are not wasting your money on one standalone machine for entire application. You get one physical machine and virtualize it, and then use it for many applications. That way you are utilizing all your infrastructure. So what, see, when people are moving towards the benefits, and wherever the benefits are there, definitely people will move in terms of cost, in terms of maintenance, in terms of easy of management. everything matters for everyone, right? So that's why virtual everything is nowadays everywhere is virtualized, even in the private clouds. Private clouds means owned by the organizations, private data centers. So cloud means what? You connect over the internet and operate. So even in the one company, like if you take it individual companies also, they do deploy the data center somewhere and they connect remotely, right? So connecting remotely and doing the administration is a cloud. In fact, it is a private cloud owned by a single organization. In fact, they do maintain whatever we talked in this slide on their own, right? So what is cloud computing? Let's enter towards the cloud computing, then I'll conclude that why people are showing the interest to move to the cloud and what are the benefits anyway we're going to talk about. What is cloud computing? Cloud computing is something you will use the servers over the internet and which are hosted, managed by someone else, in fact, on behalf of you, and you only pay whatever the services you are using for how long you're using it. Absolutely, it is a pay per use basis. Like I'm using for 1 hour one server. After that, I don't want. You can destroy exactly after 1 hour. You will pay for 1 hour only. Okay, if it is on-prem business, you need a server, you get the server into the infrastructure, even the business is over, then you paid is paid, already done, right? You are losing the money investment on that server. Cloud is not like that. When you want it, you spin off and use it and destroy it when you don't want. You don't have a headache of buying entire infrastructure for running one server temporarily, in fact, right? So there are hundreds of definitions for the what is cloud computing. I took which are best suit for you. It is the use of remote servers on the internet to store, manage, and process the data rather than local server or your personal computer. You are not keeping in your machines. You're keeping in third-party data centers which are hosted, deployed, and managed by the different people. In fact, that is called the cloud providers. In fact. And cloud computing is a delivery of on-demand computing resources over the internet and pay-per-use basis. This is what is something you are needing some servers to run your business and you are not affording to maintain your data center. Just all new businesses are absolutely going to the cloud. No one is building the on-prem data centers on their own because cloud is giving ready-made solution and they don't need to go for the initial investment. They need a lot of investment to do the to build the data center, to hire the technicians, to maintain the softwares and to maintain the all the things that we discussed in the first slide, right? So this is something challenging for the new people who are coming into the businesses. Old people, they have the data center still, they're slowly migrating to the cloud side. If you take out our company, we used to have entire infrastructure on-prem. When the cloud is came into picture 7 years ago, we started, and now we are operating 60% of the infrastructure in the cloud, 40% in the on-prem. So certain financial applications we are running from the on-prem, but most of the other applications we are running from the cloud. So though we have our data center, we are preferring cloud because it has a lot of benefits down the line. What are the benefits? Anyway, I'm going to talk about in the next slides. Just follow this. So clouds are public cloud we have, private cloud we have, and hybrid cloud. Public cloud is like Azure, AWS, Google Cloud. Anybody whoever have a credit card, they can subscribe to the subscription. They can start creating the services. In fact, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter. Everybody have authorization to subscribe and start building the resources. It is open for everyone. When it is open for everyone, how you protect, how these services are protected, I'm going to talk about, and we're going to see in practical, in fact, how the services are really protected from other services which are used by others. In fact, how they are isolated in the cloud. We're going to see this in fact in practical. Don't worry. Private cloud is fully owned by one single organization. They don't sell the infrastructure to anyone. They absolutely use for them, for their business. In fact, it's absolutely owned by one company and they do maintain everything in the what is there in the data center. And this is proprietary data centers used by the one company. Hybrid cloud is a combination of private and public. If you talk about our environment, we are following hybrid model. What do you mean by the hybrid model? You operate on-prem cloud parallelly. Because of certain services you cannot migrate to the cloud because they have a lot of dependency on many things. So you cannot entirely move entire stack. At one point you might go to the cloud entirely, but at the moment that is too risky and complex and developed by many people. They left the company, they don't have good support to migrate to the cloud and all that. You have to operate from the on-prem as long as you can, right? So we have certain applications we in our company also which developed by people, and the new people even doesn't know that entire code that is written by the old guys, in fact. So certain applications we are absolutely running on prem because of many dependencies. In fact, they have the financial applications, they don't want to move, or certain days maybe cloud is safer than the on-prem data centers. In fact, how it is safe, we're going to talk about that today itself. But certain people are not feeling safe to move the financial applications or certain applications which are very sensitive in nature in terms of data, right? So we will talk about. But what is hybrid cloud is a combination of on-prem and cloud, public cloud usage at a time. Parallelly we are using it for our business. That business will become the hybrid cloud implementation. In fact, it's a combination of both categories. This is very, very important slide. You all need to understand. If you have any questions, please open and ask. I'm absolutely open to take up any question, any silly question it can be, but you should know what is your question. Like I should know that to answer anyway. So we have three different categories of cloud services: SaaS services, PaaS services, IA services. SaaS service is something which you don't have to do anything, like Gmail. Gmail as a DBA, as any infrastructure guy, is not coming and helping you. You just go to the Gmail service and create account and start using it. So that is a ready to use software. All Google Play Store. The best example is all Google Play Stores. You go to the Play Store, you download the app, you install, and you start using it. You just start to give your basic details. No one is authorizing you to use the service. In fact, it is already there, well deployed with all the securities, all the available resources and infrastructure in place already, and it is giving you ready-made software to you, and that is called SaaS services. SaaS services, as a DBA, we don't manage anything because it's a predefined, self configurable, and absolutely automatic configurations are deployed in this service. The best examples are Google Play Stores. Even GoToMeeting also, I did not do anything. I just paid, and then I got the link, and then I gave you, you joined, I joined as directly. I did not do any of the much of thing here. In fact, any software that you use as a ready-made counted as a SaaS service. In fact, all Gmails, all your Outlook emails, all your Play Store apps comes under SaaS. Here we don't have a great scope to work on as a DBA, as infrastructure admin, anyone. In fact, it is a fully deployed, self-configurable service. In fact, okay, you don't have to do much anything. PaaS is something you don't have a VM. You just create a service. It creates on top of the cloud infrastructure without a VM. VM, you cannot see it. Where it is running, how it is running, and which VM it is running, it is absolutely not displayed to you. It is running just on the cloud infrastructure straight away without a VM. So that services comes under PaaS. IaaS is something you create a VM. You do whatever you wanted to do within the VM. If you create a VM for any service that you wanted to use it, it comes under infrastructure as a service. IaaS will call it as. IaaS services are anything you involve a VM to run your business. That comes under, it's a blind rule. Like people do confuse between the what is IaaS, what is PaaS. PaaS is something you do have the administration scope. In fact, we can do the cost optimization, performance, optimization, and security compliances, and we can build our own DR deployments like IHA technologies and all that. You have administration scope, but you don't have an access to the underlying infrastructure. You cannot stop the SQL server in the cloud in the past model. It runs 24 by 7. You don't have any control to stop, and you cannot choose what version you wanted. It is by default 2019. You cannot choose 2017, 14, 12, something kind of 16. You cannot use the required version. It is by default 2019. So certain things you cannot choose here, and you don't need to upgrade, you don't need to patch. If the 2022 becomes live and then implemented in the market, this 2019 server automatically upgraded to 2022 without your notice. It is a cell. They do upgrade everything in the background by the Microsoft without your notice. In fact, they do give you PaaS services on the highest version with all the latest service packs and all the features what the Microsoft uses. First, they do employ in the cloud only. Any feature that comes into the market in the SQL Server, first they deploy in the cloud, then they'll deploy in the on-prem. In fact, I mean other softwares where the people are using independently. First, they are releasing every new feature in the cloud only. Once the cloud is absolutely fine and stable, then they are releasing into the market to the other people, on-prem people, in fact. So this became a good area for the Microsoft also to test things. In fact, we will talk about what is a preview in the next class. It will come about when they develop something before they release into the market. How do I identify that service? We can identify. In fact, someone have
So,
a question?
Ravindra, I have a question. Actually, if similar features exist between SaaS and PaaS, I think SaaS is also plug and play. Similarly, PaaS is also plug and play.
Right.
So, I mean, we don't have any control on both of them, right? So, like,
Yes. The SaaS is like little difference. Little difference between this and this is you have the administration scope. Lot of administration scope here, but here you don't have much. It is a fully self-manageable service. In fact, it is deployed with all the algorithms. You just submit a request, it does in the job automatically. No administrator required, no infrastructure help is required. It is self-configurable services. In fact, PaaS has scope to do the administration, but you cannot control the infrastructure. That's correct what you said. Infrastructure side in the SaaS area and the PaaS area, you cannot control, but in the SaaS, you cannot do anything as a DBA infrastructure admin. In the PaaS, you have the control on certain things, not on all. Automated inbuilt backups, you cannot schedule the backups, in fact, for yourself, and you cannot alter the schedules what is given by the cloud. There are many things automatically done, and your database are also protected, and they maintain multiple copies automatically, all that in the PaaS area. So there are many pre-configured options you get it in the PaaS area, but still we have certain scope to do our own configurations and manage it. That's a big difference between the SaaS and PaaS.
so everything is restricted, right? Like right from service to configuration part. So very little scope for DBS. We can.
Here we have a good scope anyway. We have a lot of things we're going to discuss in our classes in the PaaS model. SaaS, you don't have it.
Okay.
SaaS services are related to not database, in fact. They are related to different services. We're going to talk about that. All database services, you have PaaS or IaaS. That doesn't come under SaaS anyway.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see it anyway. I'll differentiate when I'm talking to us about the service. We do discuss a lot of services. In fact, I'll discuss say that this is PaaS service, this is SaaS service. This IaaS means simply you create a VM and use for any purpose that comes under IaaS. In fact, okay, that's what is IaaS means. In fact, you create a VM and then start using the VM for your business. That comes under IaaS model. In fact, it is so simple anyway to understand. If you just for idea's sake, if it is on-prem data center, you have to define your networking, you have to create your own storage, and you have to join the LUNs to project the storage and the servers logically. Server virtualization, entire virtualization, like you have to define it how you wanted the servers without what configurations by default has to come with what OS is something you choose it what you wanted when you're building the VM. In fact, even in the on-prem also, middleware runtime, you can stop the VM, you can start the VM, you have full control there. Data, what type of data you wanted to operate, what RDBMS model you wanted to operate, it is up to you. You create a VM, you use Oracle, SQL, Postgres, or any NoSQL technology, it's up to you. You given a VM, use it for any purpose that you wanted. We will maintain the VM, not the what you have inside the VM. If a VM is crashed for some reason, VM in the sense disk is crashed for some reason, Microsoft will not help you. You have to protect that VM with a high availabilities, like always on you have it, or else you have to replicate the entire VM to VM, or you take the critical databases, into the lock shipping or mirroring, whatever the technology you wanted to use for the protection level. So that's there. In fact, even in the VM side, they don't have a full protection. If the VM is crashed, that's it. And you have given a choice to protect it. So what are the technologies we can implement? We'll see it. So everything is in your control, right from everything. If you talk about IA service, you don't have to define networking, storage, servers, virtualization. You just have to select the what OS you wanted. Cloud supports Unix operating systems and Windows operating system, only two operating systems. It does not support the Mac operating system. In fact, all Unix flavors, like Unix distributions. Unix has many distributions. In fact, you have Amazon Linux, you have Ubuntu, you have Red Hat, you have many things. In fact, if you talk about at least 7 8 distributions, we do have. So even Microsoft also has its own Linux distribution called Mux. It's not fully deployed yet, but they developed it. Mux is a Linux operating system which is developed by the Microsoft. And here you have the full control to manage what you wanted within the VM, like you wanted to operate what product and how you wanted to back up, how you wanted to control through the DR technologies. You have to do it. Microsoft will not help you on that direction. It is a PaaS as a service. Your databases, if I create a database, assume a case, by default, it follow this architecture. You don't have to order this. So if I create a database here, okay, it will maintain two copies in the background automatically. You don't have to ask. It will replicate asynchronously two copies automatically here. Why they are doing this? They are saying that 7 nines, in fact, your data is safe 99.59. So which means zero data loss, almost zero data loss. How do they claim that number? Because they are maintaining three copies. Hardware can be crashed. It is possible. If hardware is crashed for some reason, this copy is crashed, the healthy copy will come and replace the corrupted data automatically. Even the live database is crashed at some portion because of the infrastructure error, the other copies will come and automatically sync the data which is corrupted. It will do the checksum internally in the background. As a user, you don't know that database is crashed and it got recovered. You don't have any choice to do yourself the hardware recovery, and we have a choice to recover when the user is deleted the data. We're going to talk about that. Infrastructure is crashed and some hardware is crashed, it is self-healed data. What is it? It does the recovery on its own. You don't have to do, in fact, because that's why they are maintaining multiple copies, and that's how they are claiming this big number, that there is no data loss kind of thing. Okay. Because pass model directly gives you, and they will take backup, one continuous backup, and this will sync to one more copy in the local data center. We fuse your replicated backups, we can maintain one more copy here. We'll have choices. I mean, when we are creating the SQL Server database, we can choose these options. How you want it to back up a database? Is it a local, geographic? Local means it will maintain two copies within the one region. In fact, does not replicate to other region. So this model we're going to talk about in detail about this thing. But this thing you need to understand now itself. Like, you create a PaaS database, by default it maintains two copies in the background, and if any of the copy is corrupted, it will self repair that data automatically, even if it is corrupted. So as a user, you get all the data all the time. You don't see that there is a corrupted data and it is went down kind of thing at all. So that comes under PaaS. In fact, in the PaaS model, you cannot stop the SQL Server. You cannot choose what operating system you wanted. You cannot schedule the backups. It will be done. You don't need to upgrade. It does automatically upgrade. There are many things which are comes automatically. The HR technology is also a few clicks away job. You get the HA implemented automatically in the background in the PaaS model. If you talk about SaaS, nothing in your control. Everything is under Microsoft control. As a subscriber, you don't change anything. You just spin off the service and choose what you wanted when you're creating, and that's it. It operates with all the features that you selected during the creation. But after the creation, you don't manage it in terms of service uptime, in terms of backing up that service is not required. All PaaS services, all SaaS services is something absolutely protected in the background, and there is no scope to do the administration in the SaaS model. Basically, that's why you see this one slide. So any questions here? Anyone want to ask anything before I move to next? Benefits of cloud. This is a major discussion for today. So anyone have any question on this one, please let me know. This is very important. What is SaaS, PaaS, IaaS? You should get a good clarity now. SaaS, something is ready to use software. Anything that is part of ready to use software is comes under SaaS. Your WhatsApp example. WhatsApp is a SaaS service. In fact, you don't have to do much. Install your application and give your number and OTP, and that's it. You start using the WhatsApp. So no one is approving that, right? You only approval you are doing yourself with the OTP. That's it, and you start use any way that you wanted. So all such kind of softwares comes under SaaS, ready to use. The ready-made softwares. In fact, PaaS service, you create a service what you wanted, and you have a scope to change a lot of things on top of it. You can change the security compliances, you can change the cost optimizations, performance optimizations, and implementing DRs and taking the backups. If you wanted manual, automators are there. You want to take the manual, you can take it. We will see that how it can be done. And inbuilt HA technologies, you click few clicks, it does a HA technology. HA you don't need it, but you need it for other purposes. Like you want to distribute the load to multiple copies, like you want to keep one write copy, one read copy, you can build it. Or you are keeping business in one region, other region reportings are generated, you can implement the HA technologies to replicate the data and all that. We'll see that how that can be done, but you have the good scope to do the administration here anyway. IaaS is absolutely like on-prem. There is no great difference. 99% of the infrastructure, only the infrastructure you don't need to manage, but the rest of the things within the VM you have to manage. You have to protect your databases using the regular backups, and you have to patch the VM, you have to patch the SQL server, you have to do everything what you do in the on-prem. They're given a VM object, that's it. And within it, what you do, it's up to you. They don't care what you are running. What they care is a VM is up and running. That's it. If a VM is down, you have to raise a case with the Microsoft only. You cannot troubleshoot if your VM is down. That is because of any infrastructure. If VM goes down, you cannot see the much of information why it is down. In fact, you have to go to the Microsoft and raise a P1 case and get them into the call and get it sorted. That's how the IaaS model operate. In fact, okay, there is a no big difference for a DBA. If you talk about in terms of administration for a DBA, it is absolutely like on-prem. There are few things we need to know that we're going to see in our sessions anyway. Cost, cloud benefits. This is where we will focus more today. See, every business people are doing in the market to gain the money from the market, right? No one is doing the business for the entirely for charity. People do the charity for different reasons, to save the tax benefits, to keep the company reputation, and it all matters, guys. No one is really willing to just give away the money what they are earning out. They do the on purpose. Every business do the charity or doing something else is absolutely, it's a marketing for the businesses. Business people don't give their money for any free purposes. In fact, so they wanted to promote there. So cost comes very crucial part for anything that you do in the business. So cloud is going to save you the cost. How it is going to save? If I wanted to start my business, I don't afford to buy a data center, keep the entire infrastructure. I wanted to have to buy all the network things and machines, softwares, licenses, people to manage that, and I have to keep the good bandwidth and multiple providers, and have to maintain within the data center, physical securities there. There are many things are you have to maintain it to just to keep your data center. In fact, so that kind of things are very expensive. In fact, to start for any new business. So people are readily using on the cloud. And also, even you create a server today in on-prem, after 5 years data will be more and hardware is outdated. It won't process the data because of the hardware layer that you have it, the storage layer that you have it. So if you have to keep upgrade yourself, you have to buy the entire infrastructure again, right? The old storage is not scaling with IO. You have to buy a new storage and then migrate it. You do that, but you are buying entire storage again, and you are already paid to the old storage. Once the old storage is absolutely outdated, you have to give it to the scrap vendor, and scrap vendor also will charge you to destroy that that computing device. In fact, everything is costing you. If it is a cloud, I'll buy the server now. Even after 5 years, my server is not scaling with the current data load, then I can spin off a new server, migrate the data, destroy the old one. I don't have to worry about it all about the old one. I don't I was paying for the server. Again, I'm paying to the same server again. I'm not invested on the buying the entire hardware. In fact, that is going to give you the down the line benefits. Cost is absolutely, you're going to save a lot of money. because you don't have to invest anything in the initial. As you're getting the business, you get the money, you can rotate the money. In fact, that's how the new businesses are running nowadays. They are not interested to invest all the money they have on the IT side itself. They have many things to do, right? So they can focus at that side. At least they are readily using ready-made services, they are getting it, and it is a postpaid. Use it and pay it. You don't have to prepay. If you prepay, you they'll give you huge discounts. That we're going to see it, how level of discounts they're going to give in our course itself. We're going to talk about that. It's not about what is what, guys. I'm going to share. If you get a new cloud deployment, no one is helping you, there is no one to guide you also. You can take a call, you can deploy the cloud, and you can build your own documentation and migrate it. That level of knowledge you get at the end of it. Because I did a lot of migrations, I am working as an architect. I'm going to share all my experience that I faced. And it's not what is what, it is about pure real time experience. I'm going to share it on every configuration. I'll break it and fix it intentionally. You have to know that it happens. This is what is the solution, kind of. So what is what you get everywhere, that is not going to help you out to work in the real time. The ultimate goal is to you have to work in the real time after the session. That's what I'm going to focus anyway. So if you talk about, guys, cost, cloud computing is eliminated the capital expenses of the companies of buying hardware, software, setting up and running on-site data centers. You don't have to do this. You just build whatever service you wanted and run it for the period that you wanted. After a certain period, you don't want certain service because you lost that client and you don't have to give that service anymore. Destroy it, set after it, and you stop paying the billing for that services. In fact, that way you can save the money. Clients don't need to maintain infrastructure, licenses, bandwidth, air conditioning, water, and everything what they use in the on-prem data center. They don't have to. And it is a Microsoft headache to keep your VM up and running all the time, and all the passer is up and running. You're not hiring too many infrastructure guys. Also, there also you're saving the money. Infrastructure guys has a lot of hit if they are moving to the cloud, because on-prem everything managed by the infrastructure. In the cloud, infrastructure is entirely with the Microsoft. So if you talk about Windows team, if you talk about backup team, if you talk about hypervisor team, if you talk about anyone who involves in networking people also, they'll have a huge hit in terms of jobs, I would say. Why? Because the cloud is managing it everything. And when you migrate to cloud, you don't need that many technicians to maintain the infrastructure. There should be few people anyway, but not too many. So that way also it will save you the cost. Global scale, this is a big thing, guys. Why people are moving to the cloud, this is another big reason. See, you have one country, you are doing the business here, you are really getting the good money from the market. You definitely think of moving to different country, different so the same business you wanted to implement. Everybody are thinking about it. Absolutely. And here you have the applications, here you have the applications. All applications are hitting one data center from all the regions. You can operate in this model, but latency will be there here. Why? Because the response is coming from remote region, remote country region, in fact, not the same country. So that way your connection is actually, the longer the distance, the more the delay you will see in the response from the server. In fact, it has to travel right over the internet to get you the response. So this model does not work, in fact, because you cannot do this. And again, you cannot go to every country and build your own data center. That is also not possible. So cloud is giving the ready-made solution. You expand your business to any country, they have their infrastructure. If it is not their nearest infrastructure, not the one you have it in your country, right? So you go to that nearest infrastructure, build the resources that you wanted, and you can join them logically. I'm going to build the servers in one region, other region. I'm going to join the servers into logical networking with a more secure connections. How we can do that, we will experience it in our class. Infrastructure side, I'll take 11 classes. That is very, very important. This knowledge will help you as a DBA to understand the troubleshooting about infrastructure side, what you can troubleshoot. If a VM is not talking to other VM, why it is not talking, what are the rules are blocking, what you can do to enable it. So all that will be discussed, guys. We're going to see that in practical. I'm going to build the servers in one region, other region, different networking model, and we can join them through the secure channels, and we'll make them communicate as if like single network, though they are geographically segregated. How do they operate internally in the background? We're going to see that. Okay. So what I wanted to conclude here is, cloud is giving ready-made solution to make your business global. Like you don't have to dependent on one country. That is the usual, right? When you get a good business from any, you're getting good revenue, you definitely think of more money. How do you get it? You have to go to other countries where you can excel that business. You build the same services in other countries, gain the money. That's how you grow it. So when they wanted to go in this way, they need to globalize their infrastructure also. And when they have to globalize, they cannot build a infrastructure like on-prem in every country. They don't afford. So that's where the cloud is giving ready-made solution. That's why people are implementing the cloud. Though they have their on-prem data center in one country, but other country they don't have it. They have to subscribe here cloud and they operate on-prem here. This is called hybrid model. Though people have their own data centers, still they're operating on the cloud because they're expanding their businesses. This is one of the reason again why people are moving to the cloud nowadays. Performance. See, as I said, you buy a server today, and the hardware will get outdated at least after few years, maybe 5 years, 10 years. After 10 years you have to entirely replace your infrastructure because it is purely outdated hardware, and you cannot serve the data what you have today. Like 10 years ago data was less. After 10 years data is like every day exponentially growing. You don't have any control on data services. The data versatility and data growth is absolutely abnormal nowadays. You take about your mobile itself. We used to get 1 GB RAM, 2 GB RAM. People are getting 8 GB, 16 GB, and storage 128 GB and 250. That is also not sufficient for the people. Okay, so as you are evolving with the many, like softwares and usage, you are generating more data. The more data you're generating, the more hardware capacity, the sophisticated hardware capacity should be deployed in the background to serve the data with a better performance. So here the performance comes in two ways. One is a sophisticated hardware. Next is the latest software versions that you need to use it to get the new features that you wanted. And also the latest versions always will become lightweight. They make lightweight products. They don't consume the server. The services won't consume a lot of resources. As they grow, as they are releasing new features, mostly they try to make it lightweight, means on the infrastructure side, usage of CPU, memory, and all that. Okay, so benefits in corporate data centers include reduced network latency for applications, easy of upgradations, hardware to meet the on-demand requirements. See example, if you take about all e-commerce business, Amazon, Flipkart, you take about any online business, whoever are using the e-commerce, they are absolutely operating on the cloud itself. Flipkart runs on the entirely runs on the Azure. Amazon, they have their own web services, right? So why they're using the cloud? First point, if they release a big billion days means you get the offers like anything. And they Microsoft people are e-commerce business people are receiving the load unexpectedly. They don't know that how many people are going to hit the website. All need to be served with the same speed. How it is possible? It is possible because servers will automatically spin off based on the load, and they distribute the load automatically. And this is from towards applications side. Database side it won't apply. Database side we will see we have auto scale database also. It scales vertically based on the load. It will lock more CPUs, more memory automatically, and then it will stay scale with the load. That kind of database service also we have it. We're going to see that. For application side, see, first the call will come to the application need to take the call to get the database connection and retrieve the data and all that. So application layer, it will build by the servers, not by the CPU and memory in one machine. The CPU is going to 90%. It will create equivalent server automatically and then start distributing the load automatically. We're going to see that this in practical. I'm going to show this in practical how the VM scales automatically, how it builds automatically, how it distributes the load automatically. We're going to see that. I'm going to test it. I'm going to show in practical. So when you know things, you can connect to every discussion that happens in the business. You will involve as an architect. I involved in every discussion, in fact, irrespective of database. Even if it is infrastructure network related, still I have to involve. So how do I get their discussions? When I understand it, when I know it. That is what 11 classes towards infrastructure will give you great insight about infrastructure in the cloud. Whatever I talk about after it, because when I start the product, I'm going to talk about a lot of things about networks. I'm going to talk about storage. I'm going to talk about other services, how they communicate in the background. You definitely understand because I covered all the basics in the 11 classes in the beginning. So that way we go and discuss about it. So here performance, guys, the performance is something. You are getting the latest hardware, you destroy the migrate it to the new hardware what you wanted, and destroy the old one straight away. And you wanted to upgrade a software, you don't want to do the in place, create a new server with the latest hardware, latest software, and migrate and destroy the old one. So it is giving you easy of upgradation of your hardware and software. You're not taking great challenge here. You're not buying a new hardware to get that. You're running a server, migrating and destroying it. So only this period, the migration period, you are paying the money for both the servers. But once the migration is done, you are paying only one server what you used to pay, the equivalent amount. Speed of delivery, and in terms of like giving the features to the client, you committed on some services that you're going to give it to the client, and you can easily do that. If example, if it is on-prem, I need a new server, a new infrastructure, you got a new client and you need more capacity to serve that new client, you go to the procurement. Every company will have a procurement team. Team will go to the finance team. We wanted this infrastructure, please approve the budget. Then they'll take it to the vendor, and you will give your own customizations on the service how you wanted with what configuration. Vendor will build it. It'll take time. Again, they will give it to you. Windows team will install the operating system, and networking team will do the IP assignment and all that. Then it will come to a DBA part and install the whatever you wanted to install and give it to the business. Not only DBA, anything. So this process will take time. It is usual process. Every company, they have to track the money where it is going. They have to go follow this methodology. If it is a cloud, it's not like that. You create any big server, any small server, within 2 to 3 minutes. A server deployment will take hardly 3 minutes. It can be how big it is, how small it is, doesn't matter. You can create a server within 3 minutes and install it and migrate it. I mean, give for the testing. Once they test it, everything goes good, then you migrate it live. So you are not waiting for the infrastructure to be ready. Infrastructure is already ready. You're not doing much of thing, and you don't have to worry about free buffer resources. You have to always maintain your capacity planning. Like your data is growing, you have to have additional free storage all the time because data is growing. You have to consume it. To consume that, you have to have the free storage available all the time, at least 20 to 30%. In the cloud, you don't have to do that. No capacity planning, nothing. You wanted 100 GB to 1 TB, you just give the number, save it, it automatically expand to that. You don't know how many LUNs are logically joining, physically joining to give that logical storage. You don't have to worry about. What you wanted to is 1 GB, 100 GB to 1 TB, you give the number, it will expand automatically. So you don't have to do the capacity planning in advance, and you don't have to invest advance on the hardware side. If it is on-prem, you have to invest because you have to have that kind of infrastructure ready for any demand that comes. In the cloud, you don't have to. You don't have to unnecessarily pay for it. So it talks about many things, guys, as a speed, agility in provisioning of computing resources through self-service on-demand features like enabling flexibility and depressurizing capacity planning. You don't have to do capacity planning in advance. You don't have to do, and you don't have to invest on the like you're not using the infrastructure, but still you have to keep it. Why? Because you have to, business is growing every day. You have to sustain with that business what it is getting the data. Like you need to have free storage all the time, which you already invested, but you're not using it at the same time. So that's something is anyway costing to the company. Enhanced productivity when the cloud. So this is a very important part you need to understand. When the cloud evolved and there is a demand also grown, like people need to have multiple skills, not just the one SQL DBA with on-prem is not going to work. You need to have cloud technologies. You need to have different. I do work on MS SQL, Mongo, Postgres, and AWS, Azure. So all this. So to sustain with my experience, I need to have that level of technical knowledge. If not, I'll be outdated. I'll be thrown away with what salaries I'm going to get, kind of, right? So all matters. when you gain more experience, you need to be versatile yourself in towards the technology. Nowadays the demand come from the cloud only. Cloud is giving you ready-made options. Cloud is giving you scope to do few clicks will do the entire thing for you. So in that case, you are getting the time. You're getting the time to learn something and to manage other infrastructure services like other you know database technologies. In fact, if you are DBA, you learn other database technology. For infrastructure person, you have to focus on different things: automation, PowerShells, Python, kind of thing. So you have to focus on more on different things. Then you get the market. I mean, you can sell yourself with a good packages, else you cannot. So when the cloud has evolved, this is the requirement built in the market. Before cloud was there, if you are really SME into one technology, that's enough to get with a good salaries. But now, if you are a SQL DBA, just a SQL DBA with on-prem knowledge, even you are have a good knowledge, still the people are not entertaining it. They wanted more versatile people to support more technologies because they wanted to save the money, right? So on the employee side, because cloud is giving ready-made options, that's where the demand came from in the market. That's where the people are asking more technical knowledge for every individual nowadays. So be ready. At least focus, one technology every 2 years. No one will touch you for years. In fact, every 2 years, keep a target of learning one technology. Don't need to keep 1 year also. 2 years, one technology, and spend all your 2 years get to the bottom of the technology. That's where you will become an SME. Just don't think of just creating it and then using it. How it is running in the background, what are the dependence it has, and where the performance layer is comes into picture, and how that you just google around and think about some scenario, search it, and go through the blocks. That's how I do learn. No one will like once you get to certain level, no one will teach you. You have to explore yourself. In fact, they'll tell you what is the requirement, you have to match that. That's how you had to build your self learnability capabilities and all that. Anyway, so I mean, why I'm discussing all this, these are related to the current market. You have to match with that. That is the reason I want to talk about all that. Reliability, this talks about two things, guys. It's a very big word. In fact, how safe my data in the cloud, how safe about attacks. If my data is I'm deploying on your infrastructure, how it is safe? It is absolutely safe. 7 layers of security they kept it. Your service is 100% secure as long as you don't keep a bad rule to allow someone to enter into your infrastructure. So again, it talks about recovery of the data in case of crash. How do I recover it? PaaS model, you don't have to think about the recovery. It does self recovery. And if it is a manual, someone is corrupted data, deleted data by mistake, you can recover up to that point and recover what was deleted. If it is a VM side, yes, you have to build your own technology to protect it. If it is so critical and you cannot afford to lose that, you will go with the continuous backups. That's there. You have to take a weekly full or daily full differential continuous log backups to protect it. At least till the last log backup you can recover it, at least. So that continuous backup should be there. Even backups are not going to take you up to the point. Then VM replication, we have always known, we have it. We have mirroring, lock shipping at database layer if you wanted only one database to be protected. So we have technologies, we have to implement it. If you have to protect, if it is a VM model, PaaS model, anyway it is protected in all the directions. Almost you don't have to think about it. No headache, nothing towards that. Upgrades, patching, and recovery of the data, and uptime of the server, you don't have to worry about. This all be given by default. If it is a VM, yes, you have to absolutely take care of that server. Only be given an object. Within the object, whatever is there, you have to protect it. It can be disk, it can be product, it can be anything that you have it. You have to protect it with the given options. That's there. Network side, no one can hack your server. Cloud is more secure than the on-premise. When the WannaCry was attacked the market, all globalized servers are attacked except the cloud. They could not hack the cloud because without the network authorization, without the they cannot hack it. They cannot hack it. The cloud infrastructure, they have many things. Even they have physical infrastructure, it is a fully encrypted. You have a create a VM disk is encrypted. You create a PaaS database, by default it is encrypted. Everything is encrypted. Even they are hacking the physical hardware layer, They cannot do anything what they have in the hardware layer because it is fully encrypted. And network side, if they have to see the actual data, they have to enter into the software which can decrypt the data and give you the data in the plain text format. Only the product can give you the product. To get into the product layer security is also there, and infrastructure network layer is also there. There are firewalls, there are NSGs, there are many things in the cloud anyway to protect. We're going to talk about all that in practical. We will spend good time towards infrastructure anyway. So these are the major benefits, guys. If you talk about cost, if you talk about global scale and performance, and speed of delivery, and like on demand, no need to do the capacity planning for unnecessarily wasting the money there. Enhancing the productivity of the employees, because there are many ready-made features which is giving you more time to the employee to learn new things and all that. And reliability in terms of recovery, in terms of protection, both are absolutely given by the reliability. This is all about benefits, why people are wanted to move to the cloud anyway, right? What are the different cloud providers we do have? Microsoft Azure, AWS, and Google Compute. Microsoft Azure is actually started in 2010, but officially, I mean, too much of market, they got a good response from the market 2014. 11, 12, 13, not, they did not get good response because they had a lot of issues. Even when I started also, there were a lot of issues. Server used to go down for hours, and we don't have control. We had to get into the bridge, and slowly they have actually absolutely, they improved on the infrastructure side. Nowadays nothing is going down like that, what I have seen in the initial days of my career. With the Microsoft, a lot of issues we had. Now they are as good as AWS in this, in terms of stability, and the biggest computing power is available in the Azure only. The more regions covered by the Azure only, more infrastructure right now with the Azure only, not with AWS. AWS is not investing what Azure is in, the Microsoft is investing on the cloud side. They're investing a lot. Every year they are adding up more and more regions, more and more data centers, more and more infrastructure on the cloud side. The highest hardware capacity in the cloud is with the Microsoft, not with AWS. But AWS as a leader in terms of revenue now. Still, why they are leader? They started in 2006, and 2008 onwards they got the good response, and 2008 to 2014 you have a 6 years difference in fact. So during that time AWS was implemented by many people. Even when I started my career, my company was having the infrastructure in AWS. We migrated all of the data to Azure in fact, because AWS cannot give the offers what Microsoft can give you on many services in fact. So if I go to just quickly, Azure is 5 times like this one. If you talk about officially they're claiming on the website, if you talk about, let's see this. See here, Azure versus AWS. Organizations all over the world recognize Microsoft Azure over AWS as the most of the trusted cloud for enterprise, and this trust is even AWS also have it. This is not great claim, but this is a great claim. Pay less with Azure. Pay, like AWS is 5 times more expensive than Azure for Windows SQL Server and PaaS SQL Server, both the cases. Microsoft is giving you a, like if I am paying $100 to the AWS, Microsoft is giving it $20 itself. That big difference is there. Why? Because it's a Microsoft product, Microsoft Cloud. They can give you any deeper discounts, right? It is absolutely their product. AWS cannot give because they have to pay to the Microsoft again. They have to gain their margins and their infrastructure support. They have to see all of that, not only just the product. Maintaining people also there in the background. They have to get their salaries and everybody, every employee they have to earn, right? So if you talk about why the SQL Server DBS, SQL DBS need to learn only Azure than the AWS in the current trend, because of the reasons. This is the reason, big reason, because Azure is giving better cost optimization than the AWS. So it's a big claim. In fact, it's a very big. See this one, you're paying 5 times in the AWS, but only 1 time in the Azure. It is a huge benefit. And you have the already on-prem, you come to the cloud, again they will give the hybrid benefit. They're already giving it lesser cost. Again, you get the hybrid benefit. You use the same license key, what you use in the on-prem in the cloud also, it will come down by the cost. I'm going to show that how it comes down. We will see that cost is coming down. When they're giving it lesser cost, again they're giving the hybrid benefit. So there are reasons, why SQL, migrate to the Azure only, not to the AWS. A lot of cost optimization you get it. That's one reason as a SQL DBA you need to learn Azure. And all Microsoft products are user friendly. They don't make things complex. I do work on AWS and Azure. If you wanted to migrate, example to on-prem VM to cloud VM, AWS VM has a lot of complexity. You migrate to S3 bucket. From S3 bucket, you need to have a third-party software or storage gateway. There is a separate computer you have to create in between to process this S3 data to VM. So that again chargeable. It is a complex architecture. If it is a Azure, you migrate to Azure Blob and directly restore to the Azure VM. There is no intermediate service involved. AWS has a complexity on many of the services. It's not straightforward in terms of network, in terms of giving the permissions. Identity management also very tough in the AWS. Not Azure has just few clicks. Everybody can understand. Everybody can create user, assign the permissions. It is so simple. AWS is not like that. You have to go through a lot of understanding to get that. Even I still have doubts on the identity management in AWS. I'm working since very long. Still, I didn't understand entirely. But Azure is so simple. You know the Azure on-prem or AD side little bit of knowledge. Cloud is very very easy on the identity management. We're going to talk about that, how identity management will be in the cloud, how we can map the cloud accounts to cloud services and operate using those accounts. We're going to see that. It's very very simple. A few clicks and navigations make you understand. AWS is not like that. It's very, I mean, complex in terms of identity management and migrations. All are complex compared to Azure. That's why people choose Microsoft products. They are user friendly. The more user friendly, the more people can learn easily. The more people can learn easily, the more technicians available. The more technicians available, the more implementation also can happen. So all are interrelated, of course. I mean, I do work on both the clouds. Azure is far more easier than the AWS. I would say that because the experience that I have. Easy to learn and manage. It is easy. Anybody can learn. Rapid growth in the cloud computing. Azure is very close to AWS in terms of revenue now. Very, very close. 42% of AWS, 37, I guess, 30 to 37% of the market with Azure. Google is far, far behind anyway. It is slowly gaining the market, but if you cannot compare with these two providers. These two are the big leaders in the market now. Azure and AWS. These two are the biggest leaders. Google is also slowly catching up, maybe 11 to 12% of the share. AWS is a 42% of the share, and this has a 36 to 37% share. This has 11 to 12% share. It is very, far, far behind, but they're trying to catch up anyway. So why AWS is still leader in the revenue? Because it is old cloud technology. Many people already deployed there, and they're not risking it to migrate sometimes. So that's where they stuck up with AWS. But all the new things are going to the Azure. If it is a Microsoft product, any Microsoft product you're using it, Azure is the best platform to migrate because they can give you the deeper discounts, hybrid benefits, and all that. That's a big thing. Right, more regions and data centers than any other cloud competitors at the present. So AWS has a more computing power, more infrastructure. In if you talk about globalized infrastructure, Azure has a more options to build your infrastructure nearest to. AWS has a little less compared to Azure, in fact, because Microsoft is spending too much of money on the cloud implementation. They wanted to make everything cloud down the line. That's is going to happen. It is happening. It in fact, maybe after 5 years or 10, within 10 years, you don't see any on-prem. Everything is absolutely cloud. No one build their data center. Maybe there could be 1 or 2%, but 90 plus percent will operate on the cloud side within span of 5 to 7 years, I would say. It's a cost effective compared to other compared to other competitors. Yes, Azure is cost effective. It is a cost optimized and infrastructure for the all Microsoft products. For other products, maybe AWS could be lesser than Azure. There are certain services which are Azure is charging more than the AWS. What service? The services, they are non-Microsoft softwares because they also get the money. They are giving more computing power, more flexibility. So Azure is also costlier than AWS on certain services which are non-Microsoft products, not the Microsoft products. Right. So what type of certifications we have, but what you can take after this course. So you can take AG 104, 60% of the syllabus will be covered. DP 300, this will be covered most. There are many people who took the exam and they passed in the first batches anyway. You can take 2 certifications almost. This is a mostly covered content. This will be at least 60 to 65% what we cover. So you don't go to the development. You have a BA data scientist and you have the developer role. You have the infrastructure admin. You have a network admin. You have database administrator. Every role exists in the cloud also. In fact, okay. So you don't do everything, right? No one does. So this is talks about DB300, our course, and AG104. So these two are certifications you can prepare, I mean, easily to gain it, because this content will be discussed very in deeper, in fact. And our content is divided into 10 modules, in fact. Okay. First, introduction to Azure, we are doing it now. Creation of free account, how you can use it with a cost optimization. You create an account yourself, and how we can manage it within 2 to 300. You use every day and use all the labs, still you can pay only 300, maximum 400. How you can do that? I'm going to tell you all the tricks anyway. I last month I paid 232 rupees. I used for entire batch. I paid very less. How that is possible? I'm going to tell you the trick. How you can manage it with a lesser cost. You have to do what I'm going to follow. I mean, I'm going to tell in the class anyway. Implementing Azure VMs. VM has a lot of things to understand. Just creating the blindly is not going to help you. It has a family. You have to choose right family to for the database purpose. Which family and what purpose will be created? What computing models we have? We're going to discuss here. Okay. Managing the virtual machine. If you wanted to clone a VM, if you wanted to build an entire VM, and you wanted to migrate a certain data, vast, like I have 10 TB data, I cannot go through the blob. How we can take the snapshot and migrate it? I have a one product, SQL Server. I wanted to entirely migrate it in within a day. I mean, within half an hour or 1 hour. You can do that. Stop the SQL Server on the source and take the disk snapshots and attach on the target and install the same version, attach the databases. There are many shortcuts using the infrastructure for databases, in fact. So what if a entire database service is deleted? How you can recover up to the point? So all these are my experience anyway. I faced all these challenges and we could figure out the solutions for all those. It came through the learning anyway. It's not just that I got straight away. I got through all my experience. I'm going to share all that. How things can go wrong on infrastructure, how you can get it rectified. So that will be discussed in this. Okay. Networking, then app services and storage. And this is major module for us. We're going to spend roughly 15 to 16 classes here. This is very, very important. Mostly 14 to 15 classes here itself. And Azure Active Directory, like how Azure Active Directory can be implemented, how we can migrate on-prem Azure Active Directory to cloud Active Directory, how we can use identities, how we can give the privilege. If you SQL DBA need to work in the cloud, what permissions we need to have to manage our services, and how you give it. So that all comes in the identity management. Okay. And automation I'm going to cover in 5 terms, like we have logic app automation, we have Azure elastic agent automation, runbooks automation, powershell automation, using the on-prem SQL agent automation in the cloud. So there are different types of automations we do have. I'm going to cover all 5 different types of automation. We're going to see that, okay, in detail. And the course curriculum I have shared with every one of you, I guess. Please go through it, what we're going to cover. This is a major module for us. So you can see it. This is a major module. It covers almost everything what we do. And this can be covered entire your resume points also. I'll give the resume, I'll give the interview questions, I'll give all the documents that I use in the videos, but is only to you guys, not to someone else. Okay. So again, videos will be given out in a read-only format. I'll upload to the Google Drive. You can only view. You can view it lifetime. You cannot download, but you can view it lifetime. So there are many people misuse the content, so that's why I don't want to make it downloadable. So you can watch the video throughout our lesson. It will play. I mean, the access will be there for your with your email IDs only, not with anyone. I'm going to control that. So videos will be given, and also just every class be present on time, guys. And I mean, I don't I cannot wait till 4 5 minutes, right? So anyone have any question before I stop and talk? Just stay back. Don't log off. Anyone want to ask any question before I stop?
Ravinder, where did you share course content? I mean, did you send an email or what?
Through email. If not, if you did not get it, I'll send it with the today's class link. Don't worry. To everyone.
Oh,
Yeah. So any other question from anyone before I stop? Fine, I'm stopping it.